Good evening, everyone. I must apologize for not being able to attend in person and speak these words to you directly, but I am currently several kilometers away from you teaching a night school math course. My name is Michael Precision, and I had the privilege of being part of the first generation of teacher candidates to graduate and complete the CTEP program. My teachable subjects upon graduation were physics and mathematics, and I have since worked in both contract and occasional teaching positions. It is of my experiences here that I wish to share some words with you. Upon graduating in April of 2012, I was very determined to work in a full-time position. With this goal in mind, I sent applications out to school boards all across the country and eagerly waited for some form of response. To those of you who've recently sent out your applications, and for those of you who are about to do so, the only advice that I can give you is to be persistent, and to get your applications out to as many school boards as you possibly can, in as many places as you are willing to go. In my case, I was lucky to hear back from a school board in northern Quebec and another in northern Alberta, both of which offered me positions after successful phone interviews. Of the two locations, the city of Fort McMurray, Alberta, was more developed and populated, so I accepted the position there and made the move to Alberta that August. While there, I taught courses in physics, general science, mathematics, computer science, and forensic science, as well as coached senior volleyball and track and field. The school board in Fort McMurray was very helpful in my move from Ontario to Alberta. They helped me find an apartment with a subsidized rental cost, and they also offered a cash advance to cover necessities in the time prior to the first paycheck. I was hired with a group of about 50 other new teachers, and similar numbers have been hired every year since. As a result of the available work in the oil sands, many families are moving to the area, and with the growth of population there is growth in need for teachers. Also, as a result of this, there is a large population of young and new teachers there as well. This makes for a very interesting working environment, because in some regions there are very few experienced teachers who one can turn to as mentors. However, there are many young teachers who are willing to try new things and develop their practice because there is a lot of support in that kind of development. One of the best things that Alberta has going for it as a place to start one's teaching career is that there is a lot of support for professional development. A lot of time throughout the year is set aside for collaborating with other teachers and developing new ways to better one's practice. There are also regular conferences that one can voluntarily attend, and an annual teachers convention, which is a mandatory 3-day event of PD seminars and exhibits. In my experience, I was able to develop and try out a wide variety of new assessment and teaching methods. These have given me much insight in the direction that I wish to push my practice as an educator. I don't feel that I would have been able to go as far as I did with developing my practice had I been working in an Ontario school board. Not that they are not supportive of PD, they just don't allot the same kind of time to teachers for developing and implementing new approaches. The work aspect of moving to Alberta was excellent. I really enjoyed my time there for that reason, and I was able to grow as an educator because of my experiences there. The staff that I worked with was supportive, and the students were also great. Like students anywhere, there will be some well-behaved classes and some not so well-behaved classes. The trick that I've found is to find ways to present yourself so that they can find a way to relate to you. I thought this might be harder because I was coming from a different place than they'd all grown up in, but actually it turned out to be not too bad because of my age and my interests in music, athletics, and film, which allowed me to connect with the students and build a strong, solid rapport, despite coming from completely different places. Because the students there are used to having a younger group of teachers who are regularly bringing new teaching practices to the table, many of them are very willing to try new things and will sometimes even give you feedback on how they feel something might work better, which can be helpful. One of the other great things about Alberta and the rest of the country in general is that in many ways it's a whole other world out there compared to what we're used to here in the GTA. The landscapes are different, the people have vastly different life experiences, and there's just so much to take in with all of that. at the end of the day, my experience out there was what I made of it. I was able to grow as an educator, do some traveling, exploring, make a whole bunch of new friends, and add a valuable and unforgettable experience to my life. After 2 years of teaching there, I decided that it was time to take steps towards moving closer to home here in the GTA. This past summer is when I made the move back to Ontario. I was a little bit hesitant about doing so after the horror stories that I'd heard about trying to find teaching work here, but I was determined to get back and do what I could. I have since been hired as an occasional teacher in 3 school boards in the GTA, and aside from supply work, I am also teaching a night school data management course 2 nights a week. In my current situation, I get calls for supply work virtually every day, and I'm working my way through the hiring process and will hopefully be working in a more full-time position soon enough. I strongly believe that my full-time teaching experience in Alberta played a strong role both in getting my interviews here and in getting hired as an occasional teacher in 3 boards. I feel that it not only set me aside as an important element on my resume, but in being able to talk about my experiences in the interviews, I was able to talk about the things that I'd learned and how they've bettered my practice as an educator. So to wrap things up, firstly, I wish you all the best of luck. You're entering into a very challenging and rewarding profession, and I hope that you all persevere and grow to fulfill your potential as educators. Secondly, for those of you that do decide to move away to get some teaching experience, absorb as much as you can. These experiences, being in an unfamiliar environment, but pushing for growth and success is very powerful, and what you get out of it will stick with you. And thirdly, let who you are into your work. Whoever you are, whatever quirks you have, whatever makes you unique, be it interests or passions or talents, let them seep into your practice. These elements will help your students relate to you, and if you're willing to show them even a sliver of that side to your students, you'll find that they are more willing to trust you and whatever new teaching method you may have for them, and that's where the real learning happens. I apologize again for not being able to be there in person. I cannot directly answer any questions unless you email me, which I invite you to do, by all means. Belinda or John can pass along my email. One question that I imagine might arise is that if things were so positive out there, why did I come back? Well, the point where I made the decision to come back came after I had the opportunity to meet Chris Hadfield in person, and there was something that he said while talking to a group of students that really stuck with me, and I want to at least share a paraphrased version of that with you. If you want to become something, if you want to do something, if you want to be somewhere, you can only do that by going. You have to take the steps in that direction to make yourself into the person that you want to be. For example, if you want to learn Japanese, by the end of this week you can probably learn at least 7 words of Japanese, and that will be a step toward becoming a person who can speak Japanese. There is nothing holding you back from moving in the direction towards what you want to be. I moved out to Alberta to gain experience and to grow from that experience. After 2 years, I was ready to take steps towards moving back here, being a teacher here. And now, even now as you hear this, I'm in a classroom teaching a wonderful group of students something to do with scatter plots. And things can only move forward from here. Again, best of luck and thank you for your time.